There are big things happening in the school choice world. Here's Georgia opting into a federal tax scheme, Indiana opting in, Idaho, Alabama, Texas joining the federal tax credit program. A bunch of states have opted in, Ohio, Virginia, Tennessee. I think we all used to kind of have an idea of what public school meant, but things are really changing more towards these more tailored educational experiences. Micro schools, pod schools, and for traditional public schools, enrollment is declining. Teachers are leaving, and one of the only populations that's growing inside public schools are special education students. And the progressive side of politics does not like this. This is the Center for American Progress talking about holding micro schools accountable and that it's diverting critical resources from the public education system. But these declines in public education enrollment are really big. In the last 10 years in this California area, they've experienced a 15% decline, and they're projecting an additional 18% decline over the next sort of 7 years. So combined, you're looking at a 33% decline in enrollment. And importantly, the sharpest declines are in pre-kindergarten and kindergarten. That means newer parents with younger children are leaving the public education system. And in my research, I gotta say, I can't tell you how much it came up that a turning point moment was the masking and all these requirements that happened during the pandemic. And the thing with the growth of special education students, which is now at an all-time high, is that teaching special education students is very expensive, and this estimate more than double non-special ed students. And the teacher shortages, which are especially acute in the special education areas, are causing a lot of school districts to adopt by basically lowering the bar to who can become a teacher. And to understand where this is all going, you gotta understand education savings accounts, because these are kind of the first thing that the new school world is built on. It's not like a traditional savings account. Usually you're using an app like this Class Wallet thing where you'll go and pay for education expenses directly through this place, and there's also a marketplace. So basically these education savings accounts get somewhere between $6,000 and $9,000 in them if you participate in it and can qualify to get it, and a little lower if the child is in kindergarten. And you can only spend it on certain things that are in those marketplaces usually, but it includes things like private school tuition, homeschooling and tutoring costs, and importantly for the special ed side, educational therapy, educational technology, things like that. But you can't spend it on things like field trips, sports equipment, or supplies. So in response, you have the growth of these things called micro schools. And micro schools is such a powerful thing that what I'm seeing is that these platforms are actually both powering the people who start micro schools and the people who want to find them and enroll in them. Because while you might not be able to buy supplies, sports equipment, do field trips with your ESA money, you can spend your ESA money paying for a micro school that does get those supplies. Sometimes these micro schools only have 7 students, which honestly provides an opportunity for an insane level of personalization. And really interesting experiences. This onward learning in the Dakotas, they actually teach the Lakota language at their micro school. Lalouse Education in Denver, a micro school founded by a public school teacher. The whole thing is about students learning a lot in the community. So in Lalouse, the students get 2 hours of traditional instruction in classroom that they rented from Denver Public Schools, and the rest of the day they spend in experiential learning. They refer to the teachers as guides. Here they are learning how to shoot a bow and arrow from a park ranger. Here they are learning at a vertical hydroponic gardening facility, learning to work on cars. So this is kind of the Uberization of schooling, because you can think of it as we had these big traditional public schools, and then we were talking for a long time about charter schools and things like that. But really where we're going is more towards this micro school, home pod, really decentralized version of schooling. And the school choice critics are saying that neither will the low-income students nor the students with disabilities benefit as much from this school choice world. They say, for example, that if you have a student in a public school that has discipline problems, the school has to give that student and their parents due process before they could say, don't come back. Micro schools don't have to do that. And honestly, that's part of the problem here. I mean, here's this teacher saying she's gotten to the point where she's left jobs because she was afraid for her literal safety. And when special education students and their parents are looking at this new landscape where they might get $6,000 to $9,000 a year, according to this study, the spending per special education student on average was actually $82,000 per year. So can a custom micro school deliver $82,000 worth of education at $8,000 or $9,000 a year? I don't know. And critics of school choice point to this Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, which guarantees that all students, including special education students, get a free and appropriate public education, which basically involves guaranteeing the student gets all sorts of appropriate evaluations, individualized education, due process if there's any type of dispute. And so you don't have that in the school choice world as much. You don't get this guarantee there. You don't get the guarantee of due process. You don't get the guarantee of certified teachers. But as I mentioned, the standards for teachers are increasingly falling. And you also don't get a guarantee of non-discrimination. And the critics of school choice will say that this opens the door to fraud. Here is a person that took a case in Arizona that said that they think they've spotted $158,000 of school choice fraud. It was the state schools superintendent, Tom Horn, in Arizona. It's this guy right here. He said that they've discovered $14,000 for that, $64,000 of school choice money spent on crystals, and $80,000 on laptops. Critics of school choice also say that it enables like these micro schools to teach ideologically driven content. But as I mentioned, the school choice people have been playing a long game here. The education savings account is like the Trojan horse. And a lot of these states that are now accepting this new tax scheme, which I'm going to tell you about, they have education savings accounts in their states. Because fundamentally, education is a state issue. The states have to set it up to work with the federal government, and the federal government is doing the Educational Choice for Children Act, which Trump has signed. And what the Educational Choice for Children Act is, it leverages the tax code to basically supercharge states that are embracing school choice. So what it does is it gives a dollar for dollar tax credit to people who donate to this scheme. And then the donations, which can include things like stock, get sent down to the states who can use that money to fund more education savings accounts. It's kind of similar to the Trump account thing. I don't know if you know about that, where companies and philanthropists can basically get a tax break for donating to the future of America's children by putting money into a savings account for them. So by and large, you're seeing that there is basically a Democrat-Republican split. The Republican states are doing a lot to get into this school choice area. Maybe this is even the dawn of a new way of doing public school in the US. Or maybe this is just something that's going to put more downward pressure on an already suffering public school program. What do you think? Is this good or bad?